Phone was going. Okay, here we go. Now we are live on both YouTube channels. Thank you. Shout out to Politicking and shout out to my guy Ronnie who just let me know that our YouTube was not up, but we're live again. This is Summer Cultivate, and I'm sitting here with an amazing friend, DJ. He also goes by Invert The World. We're going to be talking about the importance of mental health in the Black community, as well as just allowing Black men to be vulnerable. And so, excuse us for not making sure that those cameras was on. Again, thank you. I see you on my computer screen with the text messages. Shout out to Politic and Studio out in Riverside, making sure we're all good. All right, now we can get going. Talk to me. So it's amazing because when we talked, you didn't even know that you're an artist.
I didn't. It just happened. It happened in a through a series of failures. Failed marriage. I snuck off and got married. I did everything wrong. We thought we were being smarter than what we were, being young and dumb, falling in young dumb love.
Yeah.
But we tried to had some lofty goals. We started investing. We went to grad school together. But it also a couple of things happened at the same time. The marriage is on the rocks. We were undone individuals. We were kids, so we.
Wow, that's a big word. Undone individuals. We're gonna circle back to that one.
Well, you didn't know that when you're a kid. This is something that I realized after years and years of maturity and therapy. Like, we were undone, and we still hadn't done the work to complete who we actually were going to be, who we wanted to be. And then the market crashed, and so many cataclysms happened at the same time. When it all came out that we were married, then we were getting divorced.
Oh wow!
And there's a little girl involved. So that breaking up of a family, and they moved to California. I'm stuck in Memphis now. I'm going through a bankruptcy, losing about 13 houses.
Wow.
That we built on a teacher salary, so it was a lot, and it was a period of darkness that I can only tell you what. It's still kind of hard to kind of tell the truth.
Yeah. To be a part.
Yes, sharing the whole truth is kind of
emotion in here, and we're gonna share the truth. Nothing but the truth. So help us, God. But so if you see some emotion, that's why. This is real. This is live. This is happening right now. And this first time sharing this story. So definitely didn't mean to cut you off, but I just want the viewers to know that this could be hard coming out. It's the reopening. I always tell people that public speaking is the reopening of your own wounds to ensure that other people don't run into the same one. So I can see what you mean there.
And I'm very used to public speaking, but that measure of vulnerability, still you have to get used to doing it because you don't get the opportunity to do it. So you don't have to practice, and you have to remember. And like, dang, I really did go through this.
Yeah.
So and losing, I went from having multiple places I can stay in the city houses that I own to having to move back in my mom's house. The only thing I remember actually having that I felt was my own from the divorce was a little bitty digital camera and a laptop. And in flipping houses, those are two things you absolutely got to have. You need your camera to take pictures of houses, and you need your laptop.
Right.
Somehow in between the process of while I was depressed, I had a photo editing software. It wasn't even Photoshop. It was a bootleg version. And I was just kept playing with the pictures of the houses that I had downloaded. I would invert them. And what I do remember is I dream in inverted colors.
Wow.
So my dreams are real weird, like 6 sci-fi movies, the color schemes. So I found out you can turn the photos into the negatives and play with the colors.
Look at that.
And over a period of time, I just had some friends who knew I was going through my depression, and they just started seeing a creative spark come out that I wasn't seeing. And they kind of guided me to the process where I got comfortable calling myself a photo editor.
Okay.
Right? To say, okay, well, I can do digital photo edits. No one knew exactly what it was. Hell, I didn't know what it was.
Right.
And when my mom, she used to be pissed because all I was doing was stuck on the computer. And I was clearly depressed. She said, all you're doing is stuck on the computer and drinking beer on the back patio.
Wow.
It was the truth.
This is post-divorce, post-family moving, post-separation, post-selling all of your home, getting, letting go of things. And now you're stuck here trying to figure things out.
A series of things that happened. I'm going through bankruptcy court. I'm going through divorce court. And I just found out I completely tore my left shoulder.
Okay.
So I tore my labrum, my rotator cuff had a bone spur.
Ooh.
So I had to have my left shoulder completely rebuilt. So in that time, disappeared to darkness. From my memory, I keep saying I was at my mom's house for 6 months. She said, "Baby, you here for a year and a half."
Oh my
I
God.
have a blackout. I can't remember. But when I
Right.
came out of that, for Christmas, I gave her some of the photos I was editing of them
Mm-hmm.
in a little mat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what your mom does. Oh, my baby's an artist. My baby's an artist. Like, Mom,
On that.
I didn't want to own that. I wasn't ready for that. Then
Mm.
we went through death had never touched my mother's side of the family for forever. And when it did, it came in a wave.
Mm-hmm.
Like in
I can
2 years,
relate. Yeah.
it came in a wave. Uh, took about 12 of my family members,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how I ended up with a sleeve. I had no tattoos before.
Wow.
So I ended up with a sleeve. I
Mm-hmm.
bought a camera, and now I'm taking photos.
Right. Right.
Hadn't had a photo class, photography
Mm-hmm.
class, still hadn't had a design class.
Wow.
I was used to starting a business, and now I'm doing something. So I just knew just start LLC,
Mm-hmm.
sell business cards.
Okay, so we go through this depression, and then after post divorce and all of these other things that we're dealing with, which I can relate to those things, separation, breaking up of families and marriages and so forth, and still having to push forward. And then you have this line of loss that happened in your family, and then all of a sudden you start transitioning into this artist, but yet didn't want to take that on. And so, how did Invert the World get birthed? Where did that come from? Where did you finally say and take ownership of the gift that was developed through this storm? Because I always tell people, have some rain. Like I've been through some things myself with going through, navigating through depression and still trying to be a fully functioning human being, right? And now you have things that God is calling you to do and calling out of you to present to the world. And it's like, how does Invert the World get presented?
Yoga and therapy.
Okay.
That's what happened. The yoga came because now I had to have my left shoulder rebuilt. Now I had this one done in college. I hurt both shoulders in college. This one was the worst immediately. So they rebuilt this one. There's some things you just don't realize when you're in college playing football. For one, you got a better rehab facility.
Right, correct.
You do
better care.
and when you're paying for it. So by the time I had this one, which was the worst surgery, overall, the rehab was shitty. I mean, it was just horrible. Like, so and I didn't want to keep paying for it, so I knew what to do.
Okay.
I started going to yoga.
Okay.
And got
Very
the jump for it. But one of my friends was going to becoming a yoga instructor. So she also was getting into meditation. So I was her crash dummy because she wanted a big football player. And also at the time I was about 300 pounds too.
Okay. Wow.
So she wanted a big football player, did yoga. Well, I'm flexible, I'm an athlete, I don't care. I ain't got no shame. Well, through that, they were teaching meditation techniques. A lot of things I was familiar with that I realized that at my later age I needed because by playing sports, you do a lot of visualizing through sports. You got to see, you got to go to a lot of principles that you teach, but you don't know how to always apply it when you're going through some serious issues. So through meditation, now I'm taking photos. I've started a business. I tried it. I just tried to double down on this meditation stuff, and it started working. Like what I started seeing myself wanting to create, if I could take my time, I could think it through.
That you can do it.
Yeah. Wow. So one day, this was so my aunt committed suicide in a very brutal way. It was a very troubling way. And I had to double down on these practices. And you can feel yourself as things are getting dark. So I wouldn't manifest it in negative ways because my temperament still was kind of erratic. I doubled down on sitting still and trying to focus on something creative. But one day I was digitally designing, drunk, and I looked at one of my designs and said, I think I could paint that. And I went through this entire process where I literally saw myself painting. So woke up in the morning, so let's just try. At this point, I've failed at so many other things. I don't care if I mess up on the painting. And the painting was horrible. I mean, it was ugly. It was horrible. It was trash. It was trash. I mean, it was just trash. However, what I did do is I got the concept. What I lacked was also since I'm an educator, I understand you just lacking technique. Got the concept. So I just doubled down on kept painting. Right. So one after the other. I understood also through therapy, the most powerful number is one. It's complete one. And complete another one. So taking that approach, I started painting some things. And through the process of visualizing, there were a lot of things that started happening in my life that were really, really, really weird. I'll give you one. So, well, before I give you an example, I also am an avid reader.
Okay.
So I read the book The Secret.
Okay. Oh,
The Secret.
God. Definitely to read. It was actually one of my VPs told me that that is a book that needs to be read. So I started it. I need to finish it. So
But it's also it's one of those books that is so powerful. You sometimes you put it down. You realize that you may have operated in this process before.
Yeah.
Calling things to existence. And in a nutshell, it spoke that the universe wants to give you your desire, but also it wants to give everyone their desires.
Amen.
People
Amen.
are operating in their purpose that are waiting for you.
Oh, say that again.
And you are pushing in this direction. You will meet what you need because there are also people pushing in a direction they kind of need to cross. Now, if you don't, they're still going to go and find what they need, but you will have missed that opportunity.
Right.
And the opportunity, they may have missed the opportunity to do it with you, but since they're on their pathway, you'll.
Amen.
So, I got more in tune, try to get more in tune with that. And also, because I'm an educator at the time, we were teaching in a gender specific academy. So I'm teaching all boy classes and all girl classes. So my research is being done based upon uh, multiple intelligence.
Okay.
Teaching the brain as opposed to the gender.
Very
good. The brain, of course, the gender encapsulates
very good
based on the stimuli. I started understanding that color had frequencies, just like music has frequencies. So using those techniques, trying to combine them, that would start to become my style. Because I ain't got no talent, you know. I have a talent.
Don't understand that they think that they don't have a talent. I hear that all the time. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my talent is. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And that is a whole nother subject that we can get into. But you're absolutely right. Sometimes you don't recognize it. So now you're getting into this book, The Seeker. You're getting into teaching from a gender-based perspective, and now you're adding art into this.
Yeah. So they got at that point, things started moving fast and happening weirdly that I had to make a decision.
Okay.
So in the process of painting, I had a couple situations where I did manifest something. So this is a good story. I could tell that. So, I'm not a Destiny's Child fan, right? But I'm an R&B lover. And
I'm both.
When I got from this pick to start painting, the first thing you do was just pop art. Paint your favorite artist. I love Sade, so I painted her like 3 times.
Okay, we're gonna show that. Don't worry, we'll show his art as well because it's dope. It's one behind us. It's amazing.
So I painted Beyonce.
Oh, right? I need one.
Sorry. So, I'm not so. It's an abstract Beyonce I really like. I said, okay, well, damn, I got to paint the whole crew. I painted Kelly Rowland, but I was listening to Brandy's Full Moon album while I painted it, so it kind of looked like Brandy. The Michelle Williams.
Okay.
This particular, for whatever reason, it was the most stressful piece to paint. It was as if I could hear the painting.
Okay.
Call. Right. Just like I was having a conversation. I thought I was freaking out a couple times, because I got to the process of painting it in your head first. Painting it in your head first.
I can see how that happened.
The Beyonce and the Kelly Rowlands, maybe took about 3 weeks.
Okay.
It took me 6 months to finish this Michelle Williams.
Wow.
It took me 6 months, right? So at the time, my girlfriend worked in radio in Memphis. So when I moved here, I left some pieces with her. And that was one of them. So she called me. She said, "You'll never believe this. Kelly's coming to the radio station."
Wow. Wowzer.
And she said, "I can give it to her." And she gave it to
her. Okay.
Michelle said, she said, "I've been seeing, I'm sorry, Michelle, when he was coming, she said, I've been watching this guy paint this piece since he started it on Instagram. I didn't know he was in Memphis." And ironically, our birthday around the same time. She's a Leo. So it's those kind of things that it's kind of hard to deny. Like, like
things that are supposed to happen.
Add up. It was the weirdest experience I had. So I got hold of Kelly Rowland holding a piece. But what that did was it actually, in art world, it's about clout. Who has your artwork?
Right.
It to actually paint a piece of a celebrity and give able to put it in their hand and say, "Look, this is who I am." It validated me in a world where I didn't grow up as an artist.
Right.
I didn't have traditional lanes.
Not just in a world where you didn't grow up as an artist. You didn't know that you were an artist. And how old were you? okay, when everything was happening with the divorce and the separation and losing all of your property and then going into this depression and then family members passing away, and I'm so sorry, your aunt committing suicide. What age were you at that point?
Oh, 29 when I first started.
Okay, so 29, you never knew that you were an artist. You didn't even know how to, you was walking around here, Mitch Matt didn't even know how to dress at some point. And so then you heard, that was art.
Yeah.
I think that is amazing because so many people out here right now are struggling with both mental health and depression. And I'm going to be honest, I know that mental health and depression can be coming from so many different ways. But one thing that I do understand is what I always try and tell people is that if you walk toward your purpose, you will walk out of some forms of depression. Now, I understand that some depression is just heavy, some we can't get away from, but sometimes that's your purpose tugging on you. And when we're not living in our dreams and living in our purpose and what we were created for this earth to do, there is something that is going to tug on our heart. There's something that's going to make us feel like we're not doing, like we're empty.
Yeah.
And so, is that in a way? Like, when did you realize you were just depressed and knew you were coming out of it? Like, you were depressed, you started doing art, and how did you tie in, I guess, the art meditation with bringing yourself out of depression? Because when you said you connected with that piece in a way, it seemed like it was talking to you and you were doing the piece in your head and you were drawing the piece in your head. The crazy thing is, in my PhD right now, when I'm writing papers, I write my papers in my head first.
Yeah.
I feel connected to my work because it's part of my purpose, right? So talk about, how was that even something that you knew? Did you know that you were depressed?
Well, at a certain point, probably maybe about a year and a half into it,
Wow.
I knew I was depressed.
Okay.
So I actively started going to a therapist.
Wow.
I did not understand. There's a lot of things I did not understand in terms of putting it in terms of I am depressed. I knew I was angry. I knew I was so angry.
Okay.
And I was confused,
Mhm.
because, everything you thought you knew, you
Right.
don't know anymore.
Mhm.
But I was not trying to use this lane as a lane to get out of depression.
Right, right.
I didn't think that's what was happening.
Right.
I was using the tools in front of me to keep me occupied.
Okay.
Right?
Makes sense.
To keep me occupied. I found something that was like pulling a string.
Mhm.
And I just kept pulling the string.
Okay.
Because you only got a couple other options.
Mhm.
Really just go nuclear.
Right, right.
So I had a pretty good support system around me. I
Okay.
had some friends who gave me real tough love. I had a crew of girls in Memphis. My homegirls have really did support me, and
Okay.
they did not pacify. No,
Yeah, very good, very
It
good.
wasn't one
Right.
that
Right.
So they helped me to get out and get more active. Like, that's how I lost weight, because they tricked me to start running half marathons.
Okay.
So it was a combination of things. But when I saw my friends taking that manifestation in me a little seriously, like, since you're doing this is
Right.
what you must be.
Right. Amen.
Yeah, I
Amen.
couldn't.
The support system.
Yeah, I wasn't going to be alive. If they see me doing something, they're like, well, you did do that. And
Right.
I've always been, I told you so kind of dude.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, well, you did it. You can do that, right?
Right. It's one of those levels of accountability to
Yes,
others.
yes. So I have to give my best friend, Jamal Williams, is probably one of the biggest catalysts in me becoming an artist. Because he's always been, your best friend be the hardest on you.
Right, right.
But when he saw me doing a couple of designs, he says, you need to give these to Jabari, my friend who started Art Beats and Lyrics. He said, you need to let him see this, so put your Art Beats and Lyrics.
Okay.
I had never thought about myself in the concept as an artist,
right,
at all, until they got me in Art Beats and Lyrics. Jamal drove me to Charlotte, and I'm in an exhibit that completely blew my mind. I'd never seen anything like this in my life. So I'm like, it was a bit much to kind of catch up to. For one, you kind of starstruck in a different kind of manner.
Right.
You don't know any of these people, but apparently they are a really big deal in the black art world. The two, we got a black art world. Three,
right. On the
wall.
Again, not doing anything for artists, not getting into this until after age 29 of depression, not even knowing that you were depressed, and then just figuring out the tools in front of you and utilizing them. And now, not only are your art in the world on the walls, I'm sitting in your art gallery. And like, that's crazy.
It's crazy. Man, the other person is my principal at the time. And this one comes into play when people are also on their trajectory.
Uh-huh.
She had a deliberate purpose in her life,
Mm-hmm.
and she brought me to that school for a specific reason.
Mm-hmm.
And as things start culminating for her, I had now acquired a skill in her memory. It didn't matter whether I could do it or not.
Right, right.
I had just bought a camera.
That part.
I had just bought a fancy camera to learn how to take photos. Well, she came upstairs and said, Johnson, we're going to record a video so we can win this competition for Obama.
Wow.
Like, what? I said, well,
I'm telling you to met Obama.
yeah.
You better stop right now. You better stop right now.
I'm not lying. I'm not lying. You can look it up. So
it's about Obama. It's about your craft and your gift that didn't even know that you had, that was birthed out of depression, and now you're sitting in front of Mr. President.
It gets a little weirder. Like Obama had a competition called the Race to the Top. Right. So what he was doing was, it was an educational initiative. Schools had to create their own tailor-made program tailored to the community.
Right.
I told you we did gender-specific education. Well, the principal said, Johnson, we have to shoot a 3-minute video about the community. I said, it's kind of, I don't know how to record. She said, well, don't you got the fancy camera?
Right.
You just push the record button. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. She chunked me off. So and so you do it what any educator does. You go draft some kids, go draft.
Come here, get in the room too.
one kid who I know was not going to drop the ball in terms of personality. I got a couple of my brainiacs, so I know we're going to make sure we dot the I's and T's. I treated it like a photo shoot, like a basic photo shooting, and I just did that. We recorded the button. Only had one real camera. The rest of the kids, we had cell phones, and we won the competition. You had to vote about which school was doing the best in terms of reform based upon the video we shot. We won. When we won, what I didn't realize is that MTV was going to come down and shoot a whole special around it. So we ended up being nominated for an Emmy. You
a big deal, bro.
Because it sounds like a lot. It's so sometimes it's so much. I have to sit back and like this is a lot to kind of tell the story, because it doesn't always make sense in pieces.
Right.
So you talk about what you're doing at the moment. Because we're also in the city where people flies and lies. Right. I tell the whole story. Oh, he is lying. That is a lie. So we won, and Obama came and conducted a graduation. He handed out diplomas to every student in the senior class and shook their hand. They all got a picture of Obama shaking their hand. I was the photographer on record. I was able to bring together a photography team. So that one situation with me not really having any experience to justify me doing it, you prepare yourself for that moment, and you just don't turn down that moment.
Right.
It's one of those situations where you can't mess it up. It's impossible to mess up, because it's the best opportunity you could ever have.
Right. And it's your purpose. It's what you're supposed to be doing. So it kind of goes back into the process of when you are operating in purpose. It's kind of like when they say your gift makes room for you. Like it literally just, once you start and you carry out and you start walking toward those steps, then everything else will come. And it's crazy because we're talking about mental health, and we're talking about purpose and our crafts and so forth. But I truly am a believer that once you start walking in purpose and operating and beating your craft on a daily basis, that can burst something new out of you.
Sometimes you find your purpose in that process.
Right.
Right. So you may not even know what you're doing. You may not know how to do it. You just sometimes need to keep moving forward until you start seeing a measure of consistency working for you.
Right, correct.
But I think that the biggest things are those tools that you get in terms of whether it be through therapy or those simple things, like your grandma tell you, go somewhere and sit down and be still. Like those principles are that statement is a very big principle. Go somewhere and be still. And that is a large part of meditating. The ability to kind of sit still.
Right.
I'm someone they say is ADD. What I've learned is it's not an issue of not being able to sit still. People who label those with ADD don't have the skill set to train them to be completers of tasks. Since they don't have people to train them to be completers of tasks,
right, correct.
They say there's something wrong with them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially has been an attack on our young Black boys within the educational system and labeling them with ADD and putting them on medication, when I can go so far deep into where so many of these things are coming from, whether they're coming through poverty, and so many things that are affecting our frontal prefrontal cortex. They don't have the ability to, focus and to concentrate properly. Like you just stated, it's just some educators need to understand who they're dealing with and how to deal with each individual. Kind of like when you're on a management team, you manage people separately and differently. It is the same way. We cannot have this blanket statement of how they're going to operate within the classroom. Yeah, it's not a template for every student. So you have your blueprint, but then you need to really dive into each individual, especially those who are coming in smaller, low socioeconomic, areas and so forth.
So and that was so now, so in the classroom, I'm teaching social studies, geography primarily.
Okay.
But as I'm becoming more creative as an individual, I also am becoming a much better geography teacher.
Wow.
But those things are clashing, and one is supporting the other because I'm learning much more that geography is a science and it's also a creative science. To understand it, you kind of have to understand the measure of design and biology at the same time.
Nice. Very good. Very good. So important.
So it's but the problem is in the classroom, I'm not teaching the kids a skill. So now I'm having this whole new clash of purpose. Like I can be a teacher, but I don't feel like I'm really supporting my people.
Okay.
And by teaching my boys and girls how to do a thing, teaching them a subject, and then between geography and U.S. history, they just know stuff, general stuff, and hopefully later down the line they can see the correlation. And I wasn't happy with that. If I'm over here now manifesting things, and I have found this creative skill. So it was a real clash, and I had to come to a different measure.
That's passion.
Yeah, it was a different kind of emotional clusterfuck.
Connection to these students to know what is needed.
So I had
their trajectory.
Because now I realize I got to do different kind of work on me.
Oh,
they want to be in Memphis that long anyway. Because my initial plan was to be married with the kids. We had a whole different dream. Since I lost that, I had to modify and adjust, and this is what it adjusted to. Now, since I think I got a talent. There's an opportunity back in Atlanta where my roots are as well. I had to decide if I'm going to take a risk, if I'm going to actually operate based upon the things that now I've learned and think I believe, or if I'm going to stay in Memphis and become. I could have stayed in Memphis, to teach it, to done creative stuff on the side, but it was tearing me up. So I didn't want to be there. That wasn't what I felt my purpose was. Now I didn't know what my purpose was, but I was gonna figure it.
You knew it was pulling on you.
It's pulling.
And you knew that it was possibly within these school systems to help these students.
Well, I knew I needed to do something different if I was gonna be able to come back to the kids.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if the whole art thing was gonna take off, and I wasn't gonna.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Right.
So I moved here on a bungee. Trying to start a couple of businesses. Lost a lot of money. Right. Ended up staying with my cousin.
Did you go back into depression during that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. But however, now this is the weird part about it. Went to a completely different depression, but I was depressed based upon because I couldn't get a job, right? But my art life took off. Like it took off unbelievably, and I found a community that was thoroughly supportive. And it was those things that people came up was like, "Hey, I'm doing this. You look like a perfect fit for it." And one of them was the moving art, the yoga body painting.
Okay.
I met you in Miami.
Yeah. Right.
So someone to come to me at an art exhibit, I'm already doing body painting, and say, I have this idea about mixing acro yoga, body painting, meditation, like this other stuff. I literally turned around and said, yes. Yes, let's do it. So Rome Beatty, moving art. And it has created a community that it still supports me to the day.
Okay.
The artists, my brothers who I met through that community, we still on the group message, we chat and talk all day. And we have that space. We create that space. I mean, that space was curated and allowed us to keep those channels open, express our emotions, and kind of be more open about it. And they all are artists as well.
So you're saying a lot though. So I hear so many different things. One, a safe space, support. Let's go back to when you didn't even know that you were an artist, and then you had this group of friends who saw something in you, right? That makes me think about self-efficacy. Right now, I'm doing my doctorate on human behavior and building and what grows self-efficacy within you so that we can change their trajectory, right? So that they can achieve things through an academic standpoint or their purpose, right? They don't believe that they can do it. right? And sometimes you have to have that support system. And some of the things that inspire self-efficacy within individuals is having someone who believes in you when you can't believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about mental health and we're talking about individuals who are struggling with depression or struggling with, just getting up some mornings, right? I'll be honest, I've shared this on some platforms, but not on a mass scale to where people can know this about me. I struggle with morning depression.
Really?
Where I can get up, I can hit the ground running. I'm on go. Everybody knows that Summer's on 10. She's on go. She doesn't back down from things. But every morning is a struggle for me that I have to talk to myself to say, get up, Summer. Let's get it, Summer. People won't know the struggles that I deal with morning depression and having to talk myself into each day.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes having to cry myself into each day. Sometimes finding myself rolling out of bed on my knees and crying out, dear God, just help me so that I can just get up and start my day. These are things that are happening at the wee hours in the morning, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. So that by the time people see me at 7 a.m. in the gym getting it, there's been a whole different type of battle mentally.
Yeah.
But accountability is something we said.
Yes.
When we have people who are rooting for us, when I got people already calling me Dr. Bell and I'm not even a doctor putting me on that pedestal, right? But it's like, you're like, be doing, right?
Yeah.
And so when you have that accountability, so we got to wrap some support system around people. We got to also, but we have to inspire people to speak out about what they're going through.
Yeah.
Talk to people and let them know that, hey, I don't know if I'm depressed, but something is not right in me.
Yeah.
Because in the Black community, we are not okay with saying it's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to find some type of outlet. We're, chin up. You'll be good. Wipe those tears.
Right.
But what about when there is real depression going on within someone and there is a battle?
Yeah.
And it sounds like you had friends who came alongside you. You had your tribe.
And they gave they gave me tough love. They absolutely did. They absolutely did. I can't speak enough into their measure of support. And sometimes even at the point it would sound like they were mean. Now to be fair, like I say this again, like at the time about 295, and my homegirls, none of them taller than 5'4". So it's they had they felt obligated when they talked to tell me what to do. They were aggressive about it. They weren't going to hold my hand about it.
Right.
And something, and I appreciate that. They recognized there were times when I just couldn't do anything. I didn't want to stay in the house. Like, no, they ain't no option. We coming to get you.
Right.
Get your big ass out the house. We coming to get you. And I cannot say how much I appreciated that. That was a big catalyst.
Okay.
But I also realize that if you want good friends, you got to learn how to be a good
friend. How to be a good friend.
So there were certain measures of, I want to believe in my heart commitments that I made, especially in my depression, because I wanted some things, one thing that I learned in the process of meditating and coming out of these things is creating mantras for yourself. You start creating what your values are, your simple values, like what philosophies you can try to live by.
Very good.
And my biggest one is you got to be what you want.
Amen. You speaking to me.
You got to be it. Like no one's going to ever give me anything, so they're not going to give it to me. So if I want a happy life, I got to be a happy person.
Amen.
So what does that mean?
Amen.
If I want a good relationship, I got to be a good person to be in a relationship with. Right? If I want to be an artist, well, I got to go get the art and be painted. I got to be that.
You got to be it. You got to be it.
I want.
Ooh.
And I become what I want. Because the only thing you really battle is time. This was time. So I also had to, in this process of meditation and figuring out what is a failure, because if you let me tell it, also the reason why I don't say a lot of things. My stories, when I say it and I hear it, it's me admitting a lot of failures.
Right, correct.
Right?
That's what you hear.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Sometimes the thing about it is that I hear relatability. And that's the thing with all of us, is that sometimes when we are admitting our mistakes and our failures, it holds us back, right? It gets us that pit in that stomach. But really, when we admit those failures or those mishaps, it's relatability. Yeah. Because when someone sees you, like, you're so humble, that I don't even see on your page that you talk about your art has led you to meeting Mr. President Obama and all and MTV and all of these things. You don't even talk about those things. But when people see someone on a higher level or on a pedestal, for whatever pedestal that people put me on, right?
Yeah.
Like when I walk into school systems and they think that, oh, I may drive a certain car, I may look a certain way. But really, when I say no, I come from the seat that you sat in.
Right.
Your teacher was my teacher because I go back to the school systems that I grew up in.
Yeah.
When I say no, love, we're cut from the same cloth.
Right.
I've made these mistakes. These are things that happen. Now you provide that relatability to say, hey, I can attain this too.
Yeah.
And this is why we got to share our stories. This is why we got to speak out. This is why we got to say and recognize that no, depression is real. Mental health is real.
It's real.
And out of that, you can find some treasure.
And you know, when you come out of it, it's not like you have completely succeeded. It's not like you come back again.
Correct.
It's a process because it's a part of life, and that's what the problem. This when I moved here, and the depression I went through when I moved here, I actually learned to embrace it, and it was something that I realized like you're not gonna be able to always shake being down. Embrace it because you need to feel the bottom to know you need to look up.
Honesty.
Right? So
yes.
I learned to. I'm a superhero. I love all the Marvel movies, so that has been my superpower. To go back to where the term "Invert the World" came from, when I first went through, realized that I'm going to take this seriously. Invert the World was a mantra. The business was called Inversion Photographics. I couldn't figure it out. I just I could take a photo and do some graphics of it. I didn't know what I was doing, so I had this long name, Inversion Photographics.
Right.
But I'm invert the world. And what that meant was to take the world that I see, flip it upside down and turn it inside out.
Okay.
Because the person who I'm strong right now, how I see the world where I want to go is not what I'm doing right now.
That's strong.
Completely turning it inside out.
That's strong.
Upside down. So I reflected in my initial design scheme, which is why a lot of stuff had that base in inverted colors. And because that's always been my starting point in design, designing, editing photos. So once like I said, when I moved here, I got confident enough to embrace that process.
Amen.
I started making it like a competition. So if I felt a measure of insecurity, because now I'm in the art world, I'm accepting I'm an artist, but now I'm hearing the ability of the beast around some real creative folks. I made up so many competitions in my head based on my own insecurities.
We're also doing that consistently.
But I knew I was doing it. I accepted I was doing it, and I tried to horn in on the mania. And I kept painting. I kept painting.
You kept pushing. You kept
pushing. Kept painting. Kept channeling. I hyper created and exhibited so much in those first few years. You could literally start seeing the progression of my artwork, of the skill set. And that's why I hold on to certain ones from the yoga paintings, because you'll see where it started just as like a stencil, it's a paint block tool. I started working on
it's art. He's just showing some things we're going to show as art.
How to shade the pieces in and start focusing on creating details and the eyes. But also I would go back to the linear lines with the architectural painting.
Right.
Because I would see other people who did such dope work. And since now I'm here, I still have a whole story that I can tell folks about what I've done.
Right.
But I need my present product to line up.
Your product lines up. But you are even inspiring me right now to stop second guessing myself and just step into my kingship, right? Of who I am and who God made me to be. And when I say kingship, it's because I have the ability to understand both feminine and masculine energies. I'm a full woman, so don't get me twisted. No. But my thing is this. You said something so important, is that you created a competition in your head.
Yeah.
Gotta go back to that.
Yeah.
Because you creating a competition in your head is something that social media is doing for us all the time, and creating depression.
Well, and
from you to adults, that is creating this depression, because now instead of you worrying about self, your own purpose and your own abilities, you're so worried if you are better than the next person. Like when you step into this art world, God gave you something so dope that you didn't even find until after age 29. People think they're scared. Teenagers don't know their purpose. And here you are dipping into that at age 29. And God gave you something that has allowed you to open doors, including this dope art studio that I'm in, that I will show you guys. And here you are second guessing yourself, creating competitions in your head.
Yeah.
But the thing is that for you and for someone like me, the competition is there. We're second guessing ourselves, but somehow we're still going.
And see,
we're still executing.
what I had to do, so, and let me explain that competition. I had to embrace certain things about myself that sometimes I can be unhealthily competitive. Right? So I could not shake that desire to compete. Well, the person who I have made this battle up with, he don't know it. He never needs to know it. He never needs to know it if she's ours. Like, they don't need to know that, because I had to embrace that this is a me issue. Like, this is a you issue, Daryl. But what do you need to do then? You feel this way is because you see this stuff and you like it and you wish you could do it like to that caliber.
That part.
So I didn't let go of what I would normally, how I would process. I just learned how to, in my space, I would argue with me. You can't do this. Yes, I can. So I wasn't going to ignore that. I needed to embrace that, because it's not going to go away. If I keep trying to push that away, then I'm going to really go crazy. Embrace that. Get it out. So when I realized the battle it's a me battle. That's me over here who got some paint. I got some canvas. Yeah, I got the paint. I got the canvas. We even got YouTube now. Because when I first started, we had YouTube. It was like, what you want to do? Like, I be my man. For real. Wait, let me. It's 3 people. Let me go ahead and tell y'all. All right, so I'm comfortable now. Let me tell you, it's 3 people. It's me, myself, and I. And I'm the referee. I am the referee. So me and myself be going at it, like, so. But it's I have. But then you. Yeah, I'm the one gonna do it. Yeah. It's you. Because we about to get busy. Yeah. We about to get this going. We gonna step into our purpose. Oh, that's strong. So there's people, me, myself, and the referee. I'm gonna make the decision. I got the final say so. So also in the process of my depression, it would manifest in insomnia. Now, I have had battle with insomnia for a long time as a kid. So I had traces of depression young and pop battling insomnia. Okay. But now the insomnia is all night pain spree. Oh, we pain. We ain't going to sleep for it. So, if I have to battle with a condition like an insomnia, it's going to be productive to the point where I will be relieved of what came out of it if I have to. I'm not suffering. It's not a suffer, because once I work that energy out and I can finally calm my nerves down, oh, I'm sleeping. You just said something. Okay, you said you were battling with something, a condition, right? The importance. We put labels. Yeah. Condition. Insomnia. When really you waking up doing your art. That's when the wee hours happen. That's when you stepping into it. When we can stop putting labels on what we're supposed to be doing. I don't care if it's insomnia. I don't care if you waking up at 2 a.m. That's when we need to speak to the people. We got to stop putting labels. The labels are whack, because the labels come when people don't have the tools to manage what you come to complain about. Right. You tell them, and they say, well, you got this. Well, if they don't have it, they really talking from secondhand knowledge, because they just observing a group of people who have it and they created a name for it. Right, correct. And if they give you a pill for it, that means they really don't have a real social solution for it. They may not have a social solution. We got to look for solutions for so many different things, especially ADD. I'm not saying it's not real. I'm not saying mental health is not real, but there are so many more outlets that we have to seek. We have, and don't get me wrong. Some people who have conditions that they do have chemical imbalances, and there are medication is a tool for that. But that shouldn't be a starting point. Right? Correct. We should understand that people have gifts that are very broad, and they need to be able to taught how to manage them, or they have ability that their brain just shakes. Right. Correct. High frequency. Correct. They need enough stimuli to kind of manage those vibrations. Right, and also calm their nerves, because this shit is nerve wracking. Right, like, it is. When you kind of embrace. Once I finally embrace that, what goes on with me in these vibrations and irritation, I know it's either something in me that I need to get out. I might be frustrated, correct, or I might be sensing something in the subconscious that I have no clue about. Right, but I need to be sensitive to it. Right. It is in our subconscious.
And so I love the fact that because we're definitely going to respect medicine, we're going to respect our psychologists and our psychiatric hospitals and so forth, because there are some things that call for medication. But I love when you said maybe that is not the starting point in the ends to all means, right? Because I'll be honest, I've shared this multiple times that I battle with morning depression, but it's sometimes just getting out and calling that out and checking yourself. Mm-hmm. And I promise you today, do you know, cultivate is something that has been in me that I need to birth out of me for years. And I still get up with, what are you doing, Summer? This ain't about to be this ain't about to be that. So guess what? Like you said, there's three of us. He already said there's three of us, me, myself, and I. So I'll find I checking both of them. Yeah. Yo, we gonna make this happen. We're gonna do it. We're gonna walk into our purpose by any means necessary, right? Right. And so that is so important for us. It's a beautiful thing that you have the support system and the accountability to others, but it's major when we start having accountability to ourselves. Mm-hmm. When we start saying, no, we're going to walk into purpose by any means necessary, and we're going to do it. We're going to recognize that there's something there. Yeah. But you also talked about you knowing that there was something. And for me, I know that there's something. So that's having accountability and honesty. Something's battling with me today. Right. Instead of overlooking and acting like I'm good, the issue is that we got to start saying, I'm battling today. Yeah. Something doesn't feel right. And I got to hone in on it. I don't care what your outlet is. Like you talked about, you know, I always say rituals. What are your morning rituals? How do you start your morning? Whether it's prayer, whether it's meditation, whether you don't know what to say and you just got to call out God's name. I don't care what it is, but you better do it to get your day started so that you can get on that good foot, you know, to walk into a purpose. Yeah. And I've also found that when I am not doing my purpose, I feel depression sinking in. When I'm not doing, I had stopped. So we talked a lot about death and, you know, losing a lot of family members and you're committing suicide. So a lot of people out there know my story. So about 3.5, 4 years ago, I lose my dad. Okay. And that's a whole nother story in itself because he didn't enter into my life until a long time later, you know. And so I was finally getting into the routine of even having and understanding the fact that so then 6 months later, I lose my matriarch of the family, my grandmother, our rock, the person who held us down, you know. Right. That's 6 months later. And my mother was her best friend. I mean, close knit, wherever my mother went, wherever my grandmother went, she followed. My grandmother moved a state. My mother's right behind us. Man, she moved around so much because wherever her mother went, she followed. And she had the nerve to follow her into death. Are you serious? Look, listen, I'm laughing because I know that they're like, y'all playing with me. Like, oh my God. Yeah, that's how I got this whole sleeve. Like, you feel like you're in Final Destination. It's an episode of Grounded Out Facing. Yeah, I hate that movie. Yeah, like, man, that's what they're doing. When that happened, we're going to talk about everything on this podcast. So either tune in or tune out. So we're going to talk about, death. We're going to talk about love, relationships. We're going to talk about religion. So I say that to say, at that time, I believe in the scripture that says God will not give you anything that you can't handle. Yeah. And so Summer has been chasing her throne and saying, chase your throne by any means necessary for years. And I looked at that as an opportunity to show that tag, your tagline on Instagram. Going through, that was God's saying that you talk about this chase your throne. Let me see if you pay attention to that. Chase your throne. Because I noticed that because I like that's a declaration. That's a declaration. It's exactly what it is. Yeah, that's a declaration. It was a declaration and also accountability to myself. Summer, get up every day and chase your throne by any means necessary. You are a daughter of the King. You sit high. He sits high and looks low, but he has you sitting high for a purpose. And now that you need to be in pursuit of your God-given purpose on a daily basis. Yeah. And I talk about that talk regardless of outside circumstances and things that are happening in your life that you cannot control. Mm-hmm. So now here I am presented with 3 deaths, including my mother, my best friend, nurturer. That's horrible. That's horrible. But this is your opportunity. Are you really about that life? About it. In spite of things that you can't control. You know what? And I'm gonna tell you that's amazing because
with the, and I'm dealing with the passing of my dad, my dad who raised me, my stepfather, since I was one. When you lose a parent, you the crown is passed.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
You know, for that being your declaration, that responsibility, and that is your destiny. Like
Right.
you gotta rise up.
You gotta
be
be
that
that.
man. You can't be that. No man raised like that, is it? I mean, thank you. Like, I mean, so this is all right. So when I actually um got comfortable and realized I did a thing, is what I call it, a thing. Yeah,
This is my thing.
right. That one, when I first put my first design, printed it out on paper and put it in a frame, it was the first evidence of an accomplishment. Like, it's got to be real because I made something from nothing. So after you did it, after I did it,
then I'm promising you, I'm going to show you this part. I'm going to cut you off, but when you say something from nothing, I'm sitting in that manifestation of what he's talking about. His art is so beautiful. It's so dope. When I walked in here, my energy changed.
But that's and so that gave me a chill. I appreciate that. Like I do. Because it takes a lot of energy to create it because it's it's one of those, I'm trying to find the words for it, because when you're going through depression, you're trying to come out of it, and you grab onto something and you make a something, right? That thing is like that nugget in the darkness.
Right, correct.
That's now a piece of going, because you did do that. You were sad. That might have been yesterday, and you did yesterday, but you did that, and you can build off of that to either do that again to make you feel good again, or do something like that differently. That's why some artists have that one major piece. And it's that piece that just booms. You might not have seen anything from them ever again.
Right.
We only know what's Michelangelo's The Sistine Chapel.
Right.
We only know a few of his pieces by heart. You know, so but it's the energy put into it, but we don't know emotionally what they were going through. But
I took art history, so don't quote me. But most of the artists that I had learned about, because see, my mother was an artist.
I remember you telling me that.
My mother was an artist. She was a starving artist. We was starving, okay? It was rough. I tell you, when I say she should have been, she's one of the greats. She should have been in history books. Okay? This lady, I would never forget her. She was my art teacher in College Park Elementary, because I am a Southern girl. College Park. Yeah. Cali girl. Hey. We left that out. Went to College Park, Miss Fox, red glasses. Okay, I would never forget this woman because she gave my mother a chance. My mother didn't have degrees. My mother was struggling with drug and alcoholism. Okay, we didn't have no lights, we had no gas, but my mother was dope as heck. So I think that when I walk into spaces that there is art, I feel energy. And so walking in College Park Elementary School, RIP, because it's burnt down, her murals were all over the walls.
So this even proves the point even the more in terms of meditation and manifestation. This conversation is one of the ones that's destined to happen, just based on how we met.
Right.
I'm in Miami for an art exhibit, and then following each other. Just like I was like, she is really doing some dope stuff. Like, so, and to have this measure of commonality in not just the art world, but I don't know if you all know this. Well, you don't know this. I've done podcast production, and I had no clue she was here doing podcast. So there's so many things. Like I said, in terms of The Secret, when you have on your trajectory going here, people also have theirs, and they're waiting for you. You know, for those moments in life, so you walk in and be support for each other. Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
Not 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In Miami, we started talking, chopping up, exchanged Instagrams, continuously following each other.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm gonna let you know right now that this interview is so dope. But guess what? It's impromptu.
Yeah, it's very impressive. So look, and this is and something I had to mention her. Like, so in the process of my meditation, like you also got to do a lot of personal work to be the kind of person that you want. You want to be a stand-up person. You want to be a stand-up person. So that's something I've been intentional about. But in my meditations and my prayers, like I don't want phony people coming to me. I only need certain people. I need people who are going to come in my life to come in for a purpose that they can appreciate what I'm intending to do, because I'm still undone. You're never gonna be a whole person. I'm still undone. And when you come across people who are not even trying to be undone, they can bring the worst side of you out, and you'll feel like you're like, yeah, it's scary. So I don't want to even deal with that measure of energy. Right. So everyone who comes across that you kind of meet, let it be somebody that if I attach to them, I actually, kind of vibe and like something about them that is something that feeds into the same creative energy in the space that I'm trying to be in. Right. So I had no clue. A lot of stuff he didn't have anything cool about. So that's kind of cool.
So just to give you guys a cool little recap, I'm in Atlanta. Y'all probably saw my stories. I'm working out on the rooftop. Just doing shots. He hits me and says, "Wait, neighbor, you're in Atlanta. You're here." And he's like, "I'm in my art studio." I'm like, "Art studio in Atlanta? I met you in Miami 5 years ago, B." Yes, we kept in contact and know what each other's doing and giving each other props, but I didn't know that he was in Atlanta. And so I immediately.
She put the window up. I said, "Wait, I see my house. I can look through the window of my loft. What's up, neighbor? Wait a minute. You got you here."
Studio. So we're talking about art manifestation and how it helps navigate depression in help navigate depression in the Black community, right? And so here's the thing, guys. I feel like nothing happens by chance. I feel that if you're just open to interaction and you're open to your purpose, things are going to hit you. You're going to take hits. I just posted something about yak yards. Let me tell you, I just posted something about yak yards. We are going to get hit. We are going to take hits. We're going to get beat up. We're going to lose people. Life is going to happen. It is what you do after the hit that counts. That's why I always say I got my yak yards up. God trusts me with my yak yards because he know, boom, boom, I'm going to take a hit. And then I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep running. I'm going to keep getting yards. This man keeps going, keeps running, and keeps getting yards. That's what we're doing. That's what we're talking about.
Break it down to folks. Wait, everybody know yak yards are. You got to tell them yards after the pen. Keep going. I feel you. I feel that. And this is so amazing because the most recent collection I just finished is a reflection of everything that happened last year in the pandemic. So last year was a butt wipe for everybody, and I had the misfortune of losing my father at the end of the year. Yeah. But it wasn't just him, because that might have been the kicking growing, kicking nuts. Mm-hmm. That was that one thing. But it was a systematic process, because also at the beginning of the year, starting off, we lost Kobe. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest, when Kobe passed, that I hadn't seen so many Black men cry in my life.
What do you think that was?
Well, Kobe, I can speak from me. Okay. Kobe and I are close to the same age, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of our generation, we related to Kobe because Kobe was, if we wanted to be Jordan, Kobe was us who wanted to be Jordan. We never had, we want a Kobe. When Kobe came out there, and it was several things. Kobe's birthday 6 days after mine. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I had everyone got a random Kobe story. Yeah, I met Kobe. Well, I met Kobe Morris Brown. But when it hit, it was in such disbelief, and also it was him and his daughter. Mm-hmm. So if you're a guy and a dad, you can't, it's so devastating that you can't even try to hold those tears. Mm-hmm. So that hit me hard, and it was one of those kind of things that I had to process it before I knew I was going to pay the Kobe piece. Okay. I had to process it, and then the pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. Then George Floyd, it was a series of issues. Mm-hmm. And so my tools that I was normally doing, I was painting, mm-hmm. but I started struggling with my dreams. I didn't see the colors in my dreams the same way I did. Wow. My nightmares started changing into real strange black and white. Wow. I could not, my hands were shaking. So right when especially when my dad.
You really hit with the related.
Yeah, I hit a different kind of wall. Yeah. But every week, and the weird thing was, since the whole world was in pandemic, there was a weird measure of comfort, because you knew it ain't just you. So even though I'm freaking out, I wasn't panicking until my pops passed. Okay. And when Dad passed, I tried to paint. those tools didn't work. I couldn't hold a brush. I couldn't. The colors start mixing. I didn't see the really pretty bright vibrances. When I tried to, they were like scribbles. I was scratching canvas and swirling them and just making a mess. And I ended up keeping them, and that's what's on the wall now. So some of the ones you like, some of them, the one right in the concrete, the striking. Yeah.
I'm gonna show it. Hopefully I can show it here. If not, you mean to tell me that the paintings that are going through this hallway,
this brick podium, those color paintings, the actual canvases, the actual moment of a breakdown. Like I was actually
this is strong because this is why we have to keep going, guys. We are here talking about depression. We're talking about depression in this Black man and what he went through and how Griff was birthed out of it. Yeah. But you are the epitome, a living testimony of why when you get hit the hardest, that yak yard is going to count the most.
I know because I was in a space that that panic is growing. It's not working, and and I know what it feels like, and I gotta paint, I gotta create, and I can't go anywhere. So there are a couple things I did. So since I stopped painting, I went at the same time, MF Doom. Also MF Doom passed last year as well. So I did a piece, one of those pieces. So that on the brick podium, if you turn right to your right, something a little harder to your right on the wall, that little brick wall, concrete wall, to your right, turn the camera a little bit more. Right there, those are the pieces on the actual wall. That one right there is a breakdown. That one, all those are those when I stop being able to see color. So I had to find a new medium. Since I did not start off as a painter, I'm never really married to one kind of medium, and I don't have a problem trying something if it don't work. Because I just got to get this energy out. I got to get it out. So I bought an iPad and a new iPad and a pen because paint was too messy, and especially if I'm around here just messing up paint, I ain't want to mess up the whole law. So I got an iPad and came down the road of this technique and Procreate. And it's one of the types of situations where you're going through your depression. You don't always know exactly how you get to a certain point. Mm-hmm. But I know once I got to this pad and was able to do certain measures of designs, my dreams came back, the nightmares that I would have. Also, I have nightmares since I was 15, but they were saying recurring. So, but when I got the pad and could draw, I could see them and they were in black and white. Mm-hmm. So once you get in the rhythm, once you get an artist, when you're in the zone. I knew I was finally in the zone, I could get it out.
It's crazy.
Everything I was seeing, I started pushing it out. So maybe a 2 or 3 day period. These are the ones that are on the wall. It came out over 2 or 3 days. I just said, okay, well, we're not gonna sleep. Let's go ahead and get it out.
So it's because your talent has been speaking to you for years, but you didn't recognize what it was. But again, it took that tragedy.
Yeah, it took tragedy. It took tragedy.
It took that tragedy.
The biggest thing I tell folks is take ownership of it. It's okay. Cry.
Cry
you want. Yeah, you can. It's okay. Like but my biggest thing is just don't cry. Just don't quit. You can cry and keep going.
Yes.
You can cry, stop for a minute, and then keep going when you finish crying. You know what I'm saying? But just don't. You ain't gotta stay there.
I think the biggest thing with mental health is being honest with what it is that you're going through. Yeah. And it is okay to have a tribe who understands what you're going through. I have my prayer warriors. Shout out to one of my girlfriends, Angela Meacham. She is definitely one of my prayer warriors. Shout out to my girl Petrie. And she is definitely someone who has that faith. And it's like when you can have people to be vulnerable with, that is an amazing thing. And I'm not taking anything away from that because we need that. But when you can be vulnerable with self, I always tell people, you got to lay down with your thoughts at night.
But that goes back to you got to be what you want. Mm-hmm. Like if you can't be vulnerable with yourself, then you're not going to be able to open up in your relationships. Mm-hmm. So then it's always going to be one of those struggles. Well, you're not telling me what you're feeling and all that. Like, that was kind of one of those things that kind of tainted my marriage. Uh-huh. So you got to learn you got to be what you're doing. Like, you got to do the work to try to be a whole person.
Yeah. It's about walk the walk, talk the talk. I was 25 and I was like, wait a minute. I see a vision of summer. I want to be that summer. I'm going to be that summer. And each time you be that summer, then you level up to the next summer that you want to be. And you still You really gonna get a chorus and to the next level. We do have to enjoy the journey. We have to enjoy what it is that we're going through. But oh my God, I agree. But I think that we have to, like you mentioned a while back in this episode, and we're definitely into the episode. We got going and we had some good conversation. But be still and slow down and be honest with self.
Yeah.
And know that something's not right with me.
Mm-hmm.
But when you can take full ownership of that, then you can realize, am I depressed? Am I dealing with something? Is there something I'm dealing with that I'm not being my best self? Like me, my whole thing is I want to present my best self to you, right? Any relationship that I have in any dynamic, whether it's business, personal, intimacy, friendship, whatever it is, I want to step to the plate as my best self.
Right.
And if I am reacting or interacting in a way that is not pleasing to me and who I want to be, then I need to realize what is my starting point and where am I trying to get, and what in that mix is not adding up to getting me there.
Right.
Whether it may be an improper interaction, an improper relationship, I'm not following through with purpose. There is something there in the mix that is making you not get to where you need to be that could be causing this depression.
Right.
Outside of mental and chemical imbalances and so forth that people do need to seek additional help for. But sometimes we are causing depression because we are not living our best selves.
And that's to go back what you're saying on social media. A lot of that problem is we use social media as the litmus to compete with what we see, all right, as opposed. And for me, I got out of that and when I started competing with myself.
Mm-hmm.
So when I post on social media, that's when I feel like I've won a battle. So that's why I mean I post a lot of the stuff that what I'm doing. It's not about me bragging.
Right.
We might have been going through something when I feel like I finally got something right. I got it right now.
Right.
I don't care if they don't like it or not, but I got it right. You know, I don't care if they like it or not.
We're in a world with too many things and we have to like and people have to like us. I was watching something, I wish I can give it credit. I'm so sorry. It was a YouTuber who said that you don't have to like it.
Yeah.
It was putting you to put it out for somebody else to like.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ain't gotta like it. And that helped me so much with Cultivate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this episode. Even you're talking about, you know, depression and art and how this thing was birthed out of you. I think it's beautiful, but we ain't gotta like it. There's somebody out there who needs to see this, needs to hear this, and who will like it.
Absolutely believes a lot. And because the collection I'm doing, I'm starting the micro showings in August. And then the big exhibit will be in October. So when you popping in and doing this now, like this is this purpose. Like you get the sneak peek of actually seeing it. So that's what kind of like everything's kind of aligning for it, regardless of what you emotionally may feel. Like it's only your emotions. It's okay to feel something, but that does not mean you.
What you gonna do with it?
What, the artwork?
No,
yeah, exactly. You're gonna do with all this shit. So then it also it ends up it helps in a lot of different ways in terms of you can recognize when you have other friends, it's okay to feel something. Okay, so what are we gonna do? Like how are we gonna do this? You want to come and paint with me? You want to do this and the third?
Right.
So it gives you the confidence to speak about it a little bit more. And then you build better relationships and friendships with people. Sometimes you build better bonds because you never know. And also, like I said, I've prayed about I only want certain kind of people to come in my space. So I also have the confidence that if I do run across people and they do kind of stick to you, I don't have a problem saying you are supposed to be an artist because for whatever reason, we still hang around each other. And I need you to figure out what you're supposed to be doing because otherwise I really don't think I'm going to be around people who are not vibrating in some creative space. It's just no waste of my time because I'm not going to be staying in a space where that energy is not being feeded into, that cyclical energy. And my friends are in and realize they're artists because they end up taking a chance on themselves, right?
I think that, like you say, take a chance on yourself and just stepping into what it is that you really want to do, right? So let me ask you this, and I'm trying to get as much footage as possible. So when you see me having my phones and stuff, this is all trying to get footage on different networks and so forth. People who are dealing with depression right now, there are some people out there who don't know that they're dealing with depression or who are dealing with it and won't open up about it, won't face the fact, or like you said, it took you a year and a half for you to realize and recognize that you were depressed.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick up my phone again because I want this to be on several networks when he answers this question. Okay. So please excuse me.
I hope I got the answer. You got some tizzy. You answer the question. Whoa, this answer ain't wrong.
I know for sure that you have the answer because this is why I'm here. Everything that has happened up to this point has been for a reason. So the question that I have for you, this beautiful artwork that manifested out of depression, and I'm showing it on the Cultivate page. We've been interviewing, we've been talking, the beautiful artwork that has manifested out of depression. Okay. And I just want to keep this going, and I want to make sure that I'm capturing this as much as possible. Speaking to an individual who does not know that they're depressed or know that they're dealing with something, what is the best thing that you would say to them right now?
It is okay to feel. Your emotions are yours. Don't fight them. Don't fight them at all. Right? If you are feeling sad that you think you want to cry, cry. Don't hold it back. Do your best to express your emotions as much as you can until you get tired of expressing your emotions in your little bubble. You may need to buy a lot of Kleenex, if you're a snotter and crier, but it is okay. Just know once you're done and you're tired, get up. Just get up. Walk around, get up and move, get up and do one thing. All right. The most powerful number is one. Only thing you ever have to succeed at is one thing.
Amen.
That's it. All right. You determine what that one thing is. And once you succeed at that one thing, big or small, you celebrate that one thing.
Celebrate the wins.
And see you another one. So it's not necessarily about goal setting. It's about taking life one step up at a time. Right. And sometimes, and what I had to learn was in depression, especially since I'm clumsy, a big dude with small ankles, trying to walk up steps, I fall all the time, but fall forward, right? Fall forward, So, and I think you say accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Accountability.
Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it.
Finding some accountability partners, those you can trust, who you know that loves you unconditionally for you and who you are is going to be important during this time. I feel that, we're all dealing with something, right?
Right.
But one thing that I would say is it scares me to hear women say that they're not friends with women. Or men, I don't got a lot of male friends. All my friends are homegirls. Or women, I don't have a lot of. Find yourself a tribe.
Yeah.
And you need to get with like-minded people. And they need to be sometimes the like-minded gender. Because you need to heal a male perspective and a female perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that if there is something that is allowing you to not get with other women, figure what is that in self that's not allowing you to get with other women. Because I love the tribe of women that I have. They understand me from a woman's perspective, and I love the males in my life that can help me find that other energy. And so accountability is real. Be honest with your emotions. Be honest with what it is that you're thinking, even when you're thinking wrong. I am huge. If you know Summer Bell, I am, I tell people I'm doing my doctorate in human behavior. Not to understand human behavior. I'm doing my doctorate because I understand human behavior. And I want to I was meant to understand human behavior. And so I got into my doctorate because that was my purpose.
Right.
I didn't go into my doctorate to find my purpose. I knew my purpose, so I got into human behavior. You understand what I'm saying? And so when I say that, it is important to check your own behavior.
Yeah.
I would say check your own behavior, check your right, check your wrong, check your mishap, check your wrong thinking. I promise you it is important to check your thinking. Think about your thoughts while you're thinking it. Think about your perspective. What's going on with your perspective? Why are you perceiving things in a way that might not be? Or maybe someone's saying something to me and I'm perceiving it negatively.
Or in my case, why are you making up conflicts in your head?
Right.
You're making it up. And when you have these things and you actually start to recognize it, if you can't stop it, how can you work this mechanism to be beneficial for you? Right?
Amen.
You have to be dealing with this, right? Then how is this going to help you as opposed to completely drive you bananas?
Don't do either.
Yes,
Right?
you can.
It's a whole nother discussion. I'm not going to allow us to keep going. But what I will say, I love what you just said. It's either going to be constructive, you're going to construct something out of it, or you're going to allow it to cause you bananas. What you have to be honest and say something is not right, and I got to work through it.
Right.
We got to stop, especially the minority community, the Black community, the Hispanic community. We got to stop saying that therapy is not okay. Therapy is good.
Therapy is kind of cool, actually. Once you start, now let me say this much. Okay, for those people who are on the fence about therapy, the fear is in the beginning, but once you get past that first couple sections, you are so ready to go snitch. Look here, I need to go talk with this. You are ready to go spill all the beans, right? And then I was also for those people once you start, who are willing to go to therapy, it is okay to go through therapists, meaning like you got to find that right balance that you can sit in the room with the right person. Like,
Very good.
you know, you may be easier to talk to someone who looks like you. For me, it was easy. I had to realize that the therapist that I needed, I didn't need her. My therapist was an old white lady, right? I know that sounds weird, but my first therapist, I didn't want her to know anything about me and my culture, right? I wanted what I thought was the polar opposite, right?
Interesting.
Because I knew I had a lot to dump on her. I knew I didn't want her to pick and choose based on whatever. I wanted what I thought couldn't relate, so she can just analyze it, right? And well, until I got to a point in life where I needed something different. Okay, so it's okay to have some issues, you know.
But allow yourself to understand when anything in life has met the expiration date.
Yeah.
It sounds as if she was good for you to a point for a season. She served you well. Good. That is with relationship. That is with business. Knowing something has served you well, knowing something has been good to you, and stop making forever out of situations.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Because therapy also will grow, and a therapist may look different from you from 10 years from now.
Amen.
So I now have a art therapist and a traditional therapist.
Very
The
good.
conversation completely different than what I've had. You know, the sessions I should say that are different than what it was when I started because I'm in a different place. I got different needs.
Amen. But you're still in therapy.
I'm not gonna stop that. Like, shoot, you don't stop. No, there's no need to. Like, there's no need.
You gotta.
It's a real dynamic. Like it's a real
Amen.
it's a real relationship.
Amen.
Right. And if you want a healthy lifestyle is built on healthy relationships. You know,
Very good.
and in a world we're living in now, like we produce more than any era of humans in history. Yeah, you need to talk to someone who's trained to deal with this, and you might want to embrace that shit.
Very good.
So,
well, it's been a great in 17 minutes.
Has it been an hour and 17?
Yeah.
Wow.
For a reason, we were supposed to be here today in the ATL back in my homeland. I tell people I am Southern grown and Cali living. You have been here with myself and Invert the World. Please follow him on Instagram. Shout out your Instagram.
It is Invert the World, INVERT THEWORLD. On all platforms, Invert the World and inverttheworld.com. Support Black art.
Amen. And we are here with the big deal. I'll let you know that now. If you just tuned in, this man has been in front of my president, Mr. Obama, and that is a beautiful thing. And I've done much, much more. Art for me is something that is extremely important along with mental health. So this conversation has been on mental health, art manifestation, in navigating the world of depression within minority and Black men, Black community, and so forth. I thank both cameras for being here today. I'm going to shut your camera down. Thank you for being live with us. You're broadcasting from Politic and Studios, my partnership with Cultivate. I thank you and I love you. I'm going to keep rolling on the live session that we have on Instagram because y'all got to see the art. I'm going to let y'all see the art. So if you want to kick it with us, please do. We'll be able to collide and put these things two together because we got some bomb people back in the Riverside Studios. It's going to make this happen and put this up at a later date. But I thank you guys so much. I'm going to keep this camera rolling for us to show some of your art, take some pictures and so forth. This has been bomb. And I thank y'all for tuning in. Love you, love you, love you. We'll see you soon.